I'm Spencer Dugan. I'm the president of DBIA. I was elected last year, and I'll be outgoing here pretty soon.
Eric Beach, I was the new membership / new chair this past year. I look forward to continuing supporting the chapter this upcoming year.
My name is Lauren Cowell. I'm the chapter secretary. I'm graduating this May 2024, so it's 30 days from tomorrow. It's not like I've been here.
Hi, I'm Kelly Papenberg. I serve as the service of DBIA.
And I'm Shannon Casper. I'm the chapter advisor for our DBI chapter K-State. I'm also a teaching faculty member in the G.E. Johnson Department of Architectural Engineering and Construction Science at K-State.
So Shannon talked about how we kind of got started.
Yeah, so if you folks were all at the lunch session when Tyler Dean was up there, he was talking about it. It took about 2 years to get our student chapter going, and so we took a run at it, I think, in 2022, and had a lot of students initially come out and come to our meeting. We had free pizza. We talked about getting a chapter formed. We talked about opportunities to attend this conference, opportunities to be a student officer, and we just didn't get any traction. So we let it lie for about a year, took another run at it in the spring of 2023, and had a lot better success in getting students that were not only interested, but that were willing to step up and become a part of the organization.
Yeah, so what you see in this photo here, this is, obviously there's a pretty big crowd of us all there, so it's a mix of construction science, architectural engineering, AP design, just architecture students. This is last spring, 2023 in April at the Oregon Family Volleyball Arena Tour at K-State, built by J.E. Dunn. So you can see Doug's over there on the end, he's got J.E. Dunn hat, Tyler is there as well. And this is where we originally introduced students to the idea of DBIA on this tour. It was actually really cool. I remember I was the first person to sign the charter, so I was the prettiest signature I've ever done in my life. So that was a pretty cool experience for me right there.
So yeah, I like to think a big part of our story started when we attended the 2023 DBIA Mid-American Region Conference last year. When we attended that event, it inspired a lot of us, and as well as it laid out the groundwork for what we wanted to achieve as a chapter. I like to think of this as like a full circle moment for us. We want to come back here the next year and present about the progress. So we're pretty excited to do so.
So when we started the chapter, we knew that it would come with challenges, as you can see up here. But one of the main ones that I got to work with was dealing with Kansas State University. Believe it or not, a big university comes with a lot of bureaucracy. So actually getting a chapter established took quite a bit of work. This includes registering for an event, booking rooms to actually hold your chapter meetings, getting cars, and then I had to attend a few meetings for engineering, organization, leadership type deals. So just a few extra things that we weren't really expecting, but came up anyways.
So yeah, like Spencer was saying, there was quite a few challenges. One of these specifically was recruitment. So as we are a multidisciplinary student organization, one of the things that we really try to do is try to bridge that gap between different academic areas, as well as just getting students outside their comfort zone. Some of the things that we did to tackle this issue head on was by speaking at different seminars, as well as early orientation events, as well as we also did promoted and hosted a few fun events on campus as well. So those things proved to be pretty good ways to gain membership, and we look forward to doing that.
And we also dealt with some roles and responsibility challenges just between all of us as officers and chair people. We tried to spread our work out so nobody was super bogged down with all the responsibilities of starting a new club. It came with some growing pains. So we really tried to step up so that they can make DBIA happy that we could show our face on campus and get the club running.
So one of the things that we had to really figure out if we wanted to be a successful chapter was our lines of communication that we were going to use amongst all the students that we wanted to have in our chapter. So as I mentioned before, it's a mix of construction science, architectural engineering, civil engineering, and architecture majors. And when we did that, we wanted to make sure everyone was getting the same information. So we started out using just GroupMe, had lots and lots of people join the GroupMe, and then we had our meeting, we're like, where'd all these people that joined the GroupMe go? So we ended up just making a Canvas page for that so we can go ahead and put out information through there. I don't know what you guys use at your universities, but Canvas is really helpful in terms of organizing files, moving attendance quizzes, and it's really good for putting out
is our educational platform that teachers use for their coursework to post assignments and allow students to submit. So we just basically created a course for our DBIA chapter, and we could add all the members, regardless of whether they were an architecture student, construction science student, architectural engineering student, or civil engineering student.
Yeah, and then once we got the lines of communication hammered out, I sat down with Shannon and we discussed, okay, what do we actually do now? We went to the conference, we did the job tour, what's next? And we decided on these 4 pillars of an organization. With Shannon's experience being an AGC faculty advisor, he's been able to see them come to fruition. So we kind of apply these 4 pillars to ours. You'll see these play out in our events that we plan. But those are just educational, so something that we can learn from. Social, something fun, so people actually want to show up and join. A fundraiser, and then community service is nothing better than reinvesting in the community that's given us so much.
So in our first year, we assigned 9 positions to people that showed interest in DBIA. So those are the positions listed. We quickly found out that that was basically everyone that was involved in DBIA. So everybody had a role. So we are condensing those down, but as you can see, we have each one of our pillars has a chair member to kind of take the lead on that activity every semester. So we really outlined our structure of the chapter to pretty much correlate with what we want to do. So that's me again. So we did have some high points of last semester and then leading into this semester. Our service project last semester in the fall was the Wamego Library Community Service event where we helped them tear down shelves and move them into an unrenovated space because they're doing a library expansion. So that was a really good experience that we got to help out in the community.
So yeah, we also have the privilege of hosting a CNS, which is construction science seminar with Tyler and Doug. They're able to come out and give some valuable insights about the world of design build. One of these projects they were presented on was a vertical construction project. That was the Johnson County Courthouse, as well as a horizontal project, which was the bridge completion program. So it was cool to show students that design build reaches out more than just your typical vertical construction, but it's horizontal as well. So we appreciate them, doing that. On top of that, we had a few job site tours, those being the volleyball, football facilities, as well as the Museum of Light and Art. These are good and great educational experiences for our students, but beyond that, they inspire our students when they went out because they're able to see a tangible result of a well-managed project. And we have our officer meetings. I like to think of these as our cornerstone of the chapter right now. These are where we're able to strategize, brainstorm, and then also just create and encourage a sense of community within our leadership team.
This past weekend, we had the College of Engineering Open House, where we represented the DBIA student chapter, and we did kids activity along with an activity that showed the magic of engineering, which was the theme this year. So we had a pyramid, like the DBIA logo, and it was like levitating with magnets. So we really tried to step into representing DBIA in that event on campus.
Yeah, so what's the overarching goal of our club? That's to provide value to students. And that comes with these things listed here. Like we said, education is key. That's why we're all in school, right? This is the icing on the cake when it comes to schooling. We get our information in class, but this is the next level. Community service, like I said earlier, there's nothing better than giving back to the folks that have built the community around us. And then my favorite personally is networking and relationship building. We just had a cornhole tournament. As you can see, it was a good time. It's really cool to see your professors and classmates outside the classroom and just be able to build a relationship with them. I know I've made friends with these folks that are going to last well past college. I'm going to let Shannon talk about some other benefits.
Yeah, just other benefits to students engaged in the chapter is the opportunity to go to regional conferences. I've been coming to this conference now for maybe 4 years. This is the second year we've brought K-State students here, so we're excited to be back. We haven't attended the national conference yet, but that would again be another opportunity that would present itself to students. This year was the first year that we got to be invited to participate in the Mid-America Region's scholarship program, and so that was pretty exciting. Again, another benefit for our student chapter members to be able to apply for it and receive that. And we have our two recipients here today with us. And then the student competition is also another benefit. And so we have not yet competed in the DBIA competition. We do other student competitions in our department, so we're very interested in the DBIA Design Build student competition. We're interested to hear what the presenters tell us today about that, maybe help us understand what that process and timeline looks like a little bit better.
All right, so what's next for us as a chapter? So as we mentioned a little bit earlier, we had quite a few officer positions, so we have elections coming up at the end of April. We're really trying to get a lot of younger members involved, as most of us are graduating seniors, so we're really trying to get the younger members out there so we can keep the chapter going and you don't have to maybe restart from scratch. We also have this Saturday an educational golf workshop. We're actually very excited about that. It's generated a huge interest from the department, so we're all going to head out to Colbert Hills Golf Course. We're going to have some fun golf lessons and have a good time.
We've also got our spring service event scheduled in a week from now. We are going back to the Wingo Library to help build shelves in their expansion area, and that's being done by Icon Structures.
Then I'm continuing my efforts this spring to recruit students who are interested in being part of our first-time ever DBIA student competition team. So we're crossing our fingers we can get some committed souls to jump into uncharted territory there. And then the last thing that's listed on here, K-State has a program. K-State has extension offices all across the state of Kansas. And there are 105 counties in Kansas, and so there's a program in place that's pretty new at K-State called the K-State 105, and it's basically trying to create opportunities for collaboration between the knowledge and expertise that Kansas State University can offer and localities across the state that need assistance in solving problems. And so we had come up with an idea in our chapter of something neat to do that could sort of be our, maybe a signature thing for us, and we had the idea of, since we're a design build chapter, could we get a program going for designing and constructing and giving away tiny homes and repeat that on an annual basis. And so in the process of digging into the logistics of how that would work, we connected with some professors from architecture that I had worked with before, who told me that they were in the process of submitting a grant application to become one of the recipients for the K-State 105 program to develop a net zero carbon micro dwelling. And so it was an opportunity for us to lead from, hey, here's this idea that might take us a couple of years to, boom, we've got acceptance into this program and it's been funded. And so anyway, starting this spring, we're going to start being invited to the design charrette meetings for this project, where students will have an opportunity to sit in on and listen to design input from people from the College of Architecture, faculty from the Architectural Engineering and Construction Science Department, Manhattan, Kansas, Habitat for Humanity folks, and the Manhattan Area Technical College. We're all collaborating in the development. And the idea is to come up with a repeatable, sustainable, affordable micro-dwelling, something in the neighborhood of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath floor plan that could be deployed across the state of Kansas to help address the deficit in affordable housing in Kansas and maybe even beyond other states in our region. So we're very excited about this opportunity. And not only are we going to get to maybe help participate in the design a little bit, but there's going to be some prefabrication that goes on. And then the first of these homes will be built in Ogden, Kansas, which is just a few miles down the road from Manhattan to the west. So we're excited about this opportunity.
So with that, I want to extend our big thank you to Doug and Tyler, as well as the whole DBIA in our region. Without your guys' investment in us, we wouldn't have been able to make an impact on K-State at all. But you chose us, and we're grateful for that. And it's been a really fun first year. So if you guys have any questions, we do not answer.
Short and sweet, two-part. Were you involved in any other organizations before this one? If so, what was it?
Not in construction science, but I was in a fraternity.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah.
I was one of the lead officers on the K-State shotgun team.
Okay.
And then as well as involved with agency.
I was also a Greek life like Spencer, and I'm also an engineering ambassador, and I'm also holding a cabinet position for engineering ambassador as well.
I'm also in Greek life, and I'm a part of Sigma Lambda Chi. It's our honor society for construction. Oh yes, Spencer is also in that.
So is there?
And I serve as faculty advisor for our AGC chapter, and I've been involved in our USGDC chapter for the last several years as well.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Each of you can answer. What's been your favorite part of doing this over the last year?
I think the cornhole tournament, even though it's super simple, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like our end of the year thing. And the people who won took home some money, and they weren't super involved in DBIA. So I think that created some more hype around it. Yeah.
I think my favorite part has been how we as like officers have really put our minds together and hammered out dates and got things going. It felt like we were already in the industry, kind of making these meetings and decisions. So it was a really good experience to work with a group of people and get things done.
It's kind of what I think off of, just collaborating with people that honestly I've never really talked to, other than Lawrence, like going to that class with it, so every other officer is like I just get to meet new people.
One of my favorite parts, it kind of actually took place over most of the summer, but I interned with Jake Dunn this summer, and that's where Doug is also employed, and he took the initiative to invite a lot of us to the Next Gen event. So that was really cool. I met a lot of people, made some friends at Jake Dunn. I made friends with some girls who came from architecture firms and all that, and they actually decided to join our DBIA chapter at K-State, and they're architecture students. So that was really cool that they were at the Next Gen event, and then they started to come to our meetings at K-State.
I'm a former student chapter president at Iowa State, so I'm just curious are you tracking membership at all? And then do you have like criteria for your students to be members?
They have to have goals, and they have to come up with $10.
Yeah. So we do have dues then, right?
And we want, and we would prefer they were part of a discipline related to,
Sure.
the AEC industry.
Yeah, I'm just curious because we used to require like you'd have to attend one community service event, one educational event, similar to your different criteria.
We're trying to crawl before we.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, more of it's just a
That's a
question
good thought,
/
yeah.
suggestion, but yes.
We track it on Canvas, so we have everyone in there as a student, and then they can recognize that roster, they can track, remove.
And that's how you have your email distributions and things like that.
Yep.
We push out announcements too, yes.
One of the things I was going to say that I was really proud of the group was when we did that tour that they talked about with the Olympic, the training facility tour, the day they signed the charter. It was, we did the tour was great. Then we had a pizza party after and just kind of spoke to them. And we just got to the point where we're like, hey, like, this really could be yours. Like, who wants to do this? And more than half of the group of 40 threw a training. And it was a real mix. It was architectural students, it was construction science, it was archie. And I was just really impressed by the amount of interest in the tour itself. I mean, it was a pretty good tour. And then just that response, it was really impressive. So you guys are killing it.
Is that $2? Is that flat fee or is that per meeting?
Flat fee. First time around, we're kind of feeling, testing the waters on what students' comfort level with. So I think right now we're kind of just doing a one-time $10 fee. Like our AGC chapter, for example, is $15 per year. You get a shirt with that. And we've just been doing a one-time fee just to kind of get students to buy into it.
What way have you guys found the best way of getting people to join the chapter? Like kind of like the golf and stuff like that, or?
So personally, I pester my friends in class until they agree to go with me on the things. I like to talk, so I'm going to talk people's ear off about that, but also getting a lot of younger students involved, especially ones who want to get involved in everything, reaching out to them and inviting them to that really like helps them get put their feet to the water and everything and feel like they're involved about that. So.
Yeah, I'd say one thing I was really successful at was just like being a friendly face on campus too. Knowing that, hey, that's that guy that he's involved in this, and this, but maybe if I talk to him, he's this, or even honestly just reaching out to them. They might be walking by, but just waving, smiling at them, saying hello every other day. It does bring a lot of people around too, so that's great.
We also try to make targeted presentations to certain classes. We make there's groups, especially like younger students who want to about getting involved in something, and we go and give permission for the instructor to go and talk for 3-4 minutes at the beginning of class, maybe mention some things that they're doing. The seminar that Doug and Tyler presented at last year was one of 4 that occurred each semester, where our entire student body was in one location in a big lecture hall, and so we could post announcements or get up and talk about a chapter. We're actually losing that venue. Those seminars are going away. So as a chapter, we're going to have to be a little bit more innovative next year, next fall, and the semesters after about how we try to recruit.
We also make flyers for events.
All over the
Good
place.
old-fashioned flyer.
They work.
Yeah.
Way to go, guys.
All right, so I'll kick it off. Just like K-State wanted to express our gratitude to DBIA for inviting us all out here. Similar to them, I know what it's like to kind of go off and build a chapter pretty much from nothing. So coming from somebody that's been working on that for about 2 years now, just want to say that it's worth it and that you will see differences. So keep working at it. So sorry, Brenda. We'll do some introductions in a minute, and then we'll go into our team setup, the competition schedule, and how it's formatted, and then Tim and I talk about 2 different phases that come into the competition, and then ask some questions at the end. So my name is Nicole Vargas. I'm a senior in construction engineering. I was in Iowa State, and I'll be graduating this semester, but I served as the team captain for our competition team this past fall, and then I also competed the year prior as well.
I'm Hallie Nissen. I am a construction engineering major at Iowa State as well. And this upcoming competition year, I will be the team captain, and hopefully we can take our team to victory.
I'm Gabe Jen. I'm a senior in construction engineering, serving as the treasurer for the chapter. I'll be graduating in May this year.
I'm Ryan Ruppel. I'm on the architecture side. I was in the last competition.
And I'm Steve Johnson. I'm the faculty advisor for the post. I'm a part-time faculty too, so I spent 40 years in the industry and came back to Iowa State and said, hey, we need a couple of lectures, and they hand me a class. So and all of a sudden it was ASC and then it was DBIA. So anyway, I'm helping the students with the whole getting ready for the DBIA.
Yeah, so kind of jumping into the team setup here. The competition is a team of 5 people. They have to be full-time students. They can be in any of the degree that they mentioned, but we kind of focus on construction, architecture, and development degrees. These can go engineering, management, whatever you're interested in. So you can have one student be a graduate student, which is really beneficial because then you can have someone with an extra year of experience compared to other colleges. They know more about what goes into the project, how the competition works. So it's very beneficial to have that if you do have someone going into graduate school. You can have 5 points per architect, up to 2 students, so a max of 10 points. There's no limit on how many you can have per degree, but we recommend having at least 2 architecture because they know more about the design aspect of it, the construction, management, engineering. We don't get more of that, like the programming of the building, that kind of stuff. So having that along helps get that aspect of design going. So we, like you guys said, we like to get a mixture of juniors, sophomores, maybe freshmen if they're interested, into our teams to try and keep the succession of the club going, so we can maintain the thriving of our club. We have been trying to get alternates going along. We also recommend that. We brought 3 alternates along with us this year to the competition, so they got to go see what actually happens while we're there at the conference. And you can, they have great intel for next year. They know what's going on. So we like to identify a captain early in the semester. This year it was Nicole, next year it will be Hallie. They kind of take leadership of the entire group. They set goals, and we make sure we have milestones to meet those goals. So we like.
I was going to say, something to consider too when you're building your team. There's definitely portions of this competition that are a
a lot more focus on construction engineering, construction management ideas, and then there's also portions where having an architecture background is really beneficial. The level that they expect in terms of like renderings and design completion is, at least in Iowa State, we don't really learn about a lot in construction engineering, so having something from that architecture side was really key for us, just because their skills in modeling are a lot higher than what we learn in construction engineering.
Yeah, so kind of piggybacking on that, we like to establish software tools because these tools can set you apart from other universities, I guess. Some like Revit, we like to have our architects use that to develop a 3D model and maybe even a 4D model in Navisworks when we get to that. So we like to use Bluebeam for any text writing you have, PDF editing, anything like that. We use P6 or Microsoft Projects for scheduling, and then just any extra Microsoft Office tools, whether it be Excel, just anything you might use. So.
I think one thing to kind of expand on for bringing in juniors or even sophomores, again, I'm new to the academic world, so most of the classes you need for this are taught to your seniors. So you're at a disadvantage if you're a sophomore or a junior because there's no estimating or scheduling. So what you want to do is in the spring, when you're getting ready for the competition in the fall, you want to talk to everyone that's on your team and set up a chance for them to go to their summer internship job, go to the company that's going to sponsor them as an intern, and say, hey, can I get exposed to estimating or scheduling or whatever it may be, because you're there to learn from that company, and why not get some exposure to some of those areas that you're not going to necessarily get to your team.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about that right here. So like kind of that fifth bullet point down, internships with general contractor or architecture firm are super helpful because, like Steve just said, you can go and talk to them and say, hey, I want to learn about estimator scheduling, a couple years early before I even have the class to back that up. So some skills that we like to have within our team members that are on the construction side is you got to know how to estimate schedule a project. This kind of goes back to getting the younger, the lower classmen involved so they can learn from the upperclassmen these skills, in prior years before they actually get to those classes. So you're also going to need to know project management. There's a lot of writing that you have to do throughout this process for the competition. So knowing how the project management, the ins and outs of it, and knowing how you can kind of how the design and construction components go together. That's also the bullet point at the bottom there. Connecting those, just the contracting methodology between design builds for project delivery method, sorry. But just knowing how that works is a very important aspect of this. So having access to the DBIA manual of practice, the best practices guide, that goes through all the design elements you may need for the project, all the construction procedures, just basically everything. So just having that, you can just pull it up on the internet. Having that available to all students at all times would be a great asset to have. So.
Well, it's part of the process of learning about design build. You may not have a class in college yet if you're a sophomore or junior about what design build contracting is all about. So the best practices guide is a good spot for you to, I'll say, do some light reading during the summer while looking for that company. But it's well worth taking a look at. And one thing too that Gabe just touched on, you're creating an RFQ stage, you're going to have to create a fictional company. So you're going to have to create a company and understand the structure of your company, because you're going to sell to the committee on your abilities to do work as a design build fictional contractor. So you have to have a little bit of knowledge of how, I'll call it companies, whether it's design build contracting companies or general contractor companies, or maybe it's a large EPC company that does design build work. You need to understand the structure of that company and what roles that you can play on a particular team.
Yeah, so before we talk about the competition schedule, Ryan will hit on this a little bit. We haven't really addressed, I feel like, what the competition entails. So just to kind of give a little bit of an overview, it's basically a two-phase project reflected on the screen. You'll see the schedule. There's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is, it's pretty reflective of what happens in the industry.
we're just responding to an RFQ, and then people that are shortlisted get the RFP. So it's very reflective of what actually happens in the industry and it's their schedule.
So here's the example schedule from last year's competition. It's going to be a bit different. But we see an example, split up into RFQ and RFP kind of phases, where September 1st, the RFQ issued, and that's kind of the starter pistol. Like that's what a race starts off, and it is a race. It's very go go go, but and that's our recommendation is that you start the design early because there's so much work that goes on with the design that you want to keep up working on that throughout the process. It's not really something you can just start last minute or later on and catch up. And part of that is their virtual owner meeting and other meetings along with the technical advisors in the RFP phase. But those are the very point where it's your opportunity to ask questions. And you can understand RFP, the issues is like very high level. There's always going to be questions, and these are definitely like opportunities where you're going to want to ask questions. You can understand and make sure you understand what's being asked for, what you're giving, in all the processes.
One thing to point out too is this bullet point, the meetings with technical advisors. So if you were to advance to the RFP phase, one of the requirements is that you have not face-to-face, but face-to-camera on meeting with technical advisors. So a technical advisor, for example, is somebody who's working as an actual, let's say, structural consultant, and then they'll talk with them about your design and they'll give you some feedback, and then those are part of the points associated with the RFP component. So that's also a really great opportunity for us, to get involved with people that are actually out there in the industry. I think it's a really cool part of it, and it's a great way to kind of learn smaller things and hear about, how you need to consider both sides of the project. 2 years ago, we actually had an instance with one of our consultants, and they basically told us that one of our ideas was going to blow our budget. So we really just didn't know that looking back at it, and it was cool to see. They put a lot of things in perspective for us.
It's more practice than
You're developing a presentation out of your proposal that you submitted, and then
It's almost like an interview.
yeah, it is, and you're practicing your presentation in front of the judge.
You're not allowed to modify anything from the original.
Well, in essence, you haven't really submitted your presentation yet, but you can't really modify your design or anything like that. So you're going to use what you submitted, and then typically, I think there's 15 minutes worth of questions at the end, and there's some pretty, I'll say some pretty challenging questions. Quick, I think on your
Quick follow-up, do they give you, so a lot of times in industry, when we're interviewing or submitting a proposal, they'll tell us, here's the sections you're being scored on. Here's how many points you can make in each section. Is there any of that occurs during the competition, whether it's during the proposal stage or the interview?
No.
Okay.
That's like after the fact, once you get.
That is just the feedback.
That's your debrief.
That's the feedback.
At the conference.
So going in, you don't really have an idea of how they're scoring you, which is
If you
really,
win-
which
if
is
you-
different.
If you're going to get the RFP, you were the tops in the
Right,
race.
right.
And then if you get the nod that you're one of three that's going to make a presentation, you're in the top three.
Right.
So we went last year and the year before just to be able to get the students used to what it's going to be like, seeing other people's presentations and so on and so forth, just to get them used to the cadence of what that takes.
So there is no verbal presentation component to the RFP response?
Not unless you're in the top three. Only the top three get to present.
Just to be clear, maybe you already said this, but just to be extra clear, the first RFQ, you may not advance to the RFP.
Correct. There's only going to be one team within each region that gets selected to get the RFP. So there's 8 competitors that get the RFP.
So if K-State, out of state, another school submitted an RFQ,
Yeah.
only one of them then progresses to the next.
That's correct.
And then from there, only 3 out of the whole country
Yes.
go to.
Yes. We took a team the last 2 years to the conference, and thank you, Lisa, and the folks at DBIA, because they send you a check to kind of offset some of your travel expenses. That's fantastic if you're a regional winner. But worth going anyway, just to get the experience and understand what goes on in competition and kind of get the flavor for it. But it's a pretty fast-paced thing. If you're going to do ASC and this, if you don't make the cut, you can probably still do ASC, but that's going to be a quick turnaround.
It is also open, so we were regional winners, but if you were not to win your region, you still came to the conference too. See.
And what we've done too, we've started competing in the ASC Region 6-7. And so we'll take a combined team from DBIA and ASC, our best ASC students to go to Region 6-7. And so there's some things that kind of play on things to build another process to go to like 6-7.
So whenever you guys went to the first national competition, what were some like key takeaways and learning points that you need to work on this?
I would say understanding the requirements of the RFQ and the RFP. That is what would be like where we lost our points from not understanding what we were supposed to do. So we thought we were hitting the mark on some days, but the debriefs really open your eyes to kind of what the judges are really looking for. And it's tough because some of them come from architecture backgrounds, some of them come from the contracting world. So some of them have different interpretations, and it depends on, who's looking at what page. Some of them might think it's great, some of them might think it's not. So there is some crossover between that makes it a little hairy, but I would say just making sure you understand the requirements within both the RFQ and the RFP is the biggest takeaway.
Would you say the debriefs are pretty consistent every year?
Yeah.
All in the same format, so like what's the perspectives?
Yeah.
And like Steve said, make sure you follow the RFQ. Like if a page is in the wrong order, it points to it.
Yeah.
Like, so just follow the RFQ like exactly as it says.
Yeah, in some cases, I've seen this coming back to academia. Students like to embellish a little. That's not always going to get you. In other words, be to the point, be direct. Tell them what they're asking for. Yeah. And it's what it is in the real world, okay? When you get an SOQ or RFQ and you got an RFP, there's probably people on a panel that have nothing to do with construction that's going to review your proposal. And they're going to score it based on what they see and what they hear. And so just be very succinct, to the point, and be clear.
If you guys are not selected after the RFQ process, do you still get the RFP to practice, or like once you're done, are you guys done for the year?
I don't believe you can get the RFP if you're not in the selection process. But I believe, I don't know this for certain, so maybe you know, but I don't know if they have past projects where they posted the RFQ and the RFP for students to pick up from a historical perspective.
We hadn't posted it, but when I'm listening, because we want to be focused over it and see how we
Sure.
can so know that it's very
Yeah, just an FYI, the ASC, at least in 6-7, has an archive of past, just the actual RFP and RFQ. That way, students that are going to want to try to join could at least go out and grab this sample document. I'm happy to send you last year's RFQ and RFP. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. So it's really, you'll get an example of what it is. It's a voluminous document. It's pretty daunting when you first get it. Okay.
Another thing I'll add to that, just as from being involved in the education side of our region, is as we beef up our universities and our student liaisons is what we're calling them, but that's the folks like me, the industry folks that are supporting the student chapter. One thing I'd always suggest is lean on them a little bit. They might not always have the answer, but maybe there's somebody else that they can connect with, and maybe even if you don't get through the RFQ stage, there's a feedback opportunity or a debrief that can happen either between that liaison or maybe even at some point with the entire judging team. I don't think we've done that in the past, but I think as we beef up our liaisons, that's probably a good resource for future chapters, future competition teams.
Do you guys get like your RFQ back with markups on it?
Yes.
Yeah, in that debrief, yeah, they'll have like a printed out version on paper, take it with you, and they'll send it to me too.